Hi folks, I'm Munishi Sanyal. I'm the president of IIT Startups. It's a new venture that we started this year in January, and we had a blowout event with over 400 people attending and over 200 startups, which shocked the hell out of me. I didn't even know there were so many startups. And so just to give those of you who are not familiar with IIT a flavor of what the IIT grad is all about, there was a thing called a joint entrance exam when we started, when we wanted to get into IIT, and that has a selection factor of less than 1% of the applicants. It's the most grueling test in the world, and of course the course following it also is equally grueling. So consequently, there has already been a major selection process in the IITians, and some of the most adventurous IITians came to US, and we have 11,000 IITians in Silicon Valley, 11,000, okay? And as I told you, we noted that there were about 200 startups out here. Now, I did a survey last year before we started this IIT Startups, and one of the feedbacks that we got is because, okay, first let me backtrack. We started the Pan IIT Alumni Association back in 2003, and at that time, thanks to Kanwal, who's here, Kanwal Rekhi is here, he's one of our famous IITians, we got 60 minutes to cover the IITs. And from being a labor arbitrage group, we suddenly became a household name that we were entrepreneurs, we were creating jobs out here, and that helped us propel our future fundraising activities of IITians. I mean, the pioneers like Vinod Khosla, Kanwal Rekhi, Suhas Patil, all these guys, they struggled to get money. But the subsequent generation after 2003, when the 60 Minutes was aired, had it easier. But when I did a survey last year, they said, Munishi, you sent us a lot of people out of politeness. We looked at them. Yeah, they are technically second to nobody. An IITian is technically second to nobody. But on the business side, they have weaknesses because of which there have been some slippages. So I said, now that's an interesting problem. Let us address that. Now, typically an IITian tends to be a deep techie. He creates a solution that goes looking for a problem, whereas it should be just the other way around. So this year, we spend an enormous amount of time. Fortunately, many successful IITian entrepreneurs volunteered their time free of charge. They said, we will coach these guys up to, and pivot them if necessary and get them onto the right track. So we ran 7 workshops on all the business aspects, and each of the panels of the workshops were people who have had multiple rounds of exits and success. So our goal is we are a non-profit. Our goal is to be a non-profit accelerator. Keep in mind, we're not going to be Y Combinators. We are going to be more like StartX and Skydeck. We're going to be a non-profit accelerator, so we will not be taking stocks from companies. It's free education, free mentoring for any IITian that comes along. Unfortunately, in the selection process, we can, like each demo day, a cohort size of about 10 to 12 companies will be put up. Now, because we've got such a huge tail behind us right now, already cohort 2 has been filled up. The applicants have come in, it's been filled up. So we will probably, what I thought we'd be running demo days once in 3 to 4 months is going to be probably every other month, until we clear the backlog. And unfortunately, what happens is success drives success. When IITians hear, oh, the other guy succeeded, he said, if that idiot could succeed, why not me? I used to be the topper of my class, that fellow was a middle ranker, So there's that enormous startup fever that has caught a lot of our startups. They're wannabes. Every night, a bunch of them, they huddle. After work, they huddle and they try to find out, okay, here's an idea, let's do this, let's do that. So that sort of thing is going on. And we want to help them. We ran the workshops also for wannabe. We said, wannabe, you want to come? Not a problem, because it's better you learn what's involved before you jump in. You don't want to waste 2 years of your time going all the way downstream and saying, you know what, this is really not for me. So we did that, and we have this demo days, and of course our next goal is to get an incubator going. I mean, we want our own space where people can come in and hang out and have internet connection. And one of the things I noticed that during the workshops, an average of 100 plus startups used to come for each workshop. I was quite surprised. I said, these guys need to learn that much? So I asked some of them, I said, why do you come? They said, you know what, we like to meet other people who are doing startups. You know, there is a certain amount of energy that you derive out of mixing with other startups. So our goals, as mentioned here, are education and mentoring, connection, incubation space, and collaboration with the IIT. You know, all of the IITs are now having research parks in India, and that's a tremendous infrastructure with which we can collaborate. And apart from the number of IITs, we are also, by the way, the 4th largest unicorn generators in the world right now, after Stanford, Harvard, Berkeley, then it's us. I wrote to my friend Desh Deshpande, who funded the MIT Startup Accelerator. I said, no, we are ahead of you guys. So, now, with that, I want to thank, first and foremost, my 2 anchors, the 2 pillars who led the teams that made this thing happen. One is Sudhir Kadam. Where is he? Yeah. There's the... We put together all the mentors, startups, and we are going around gathering more and more mentors. We have 50 plus mentors, gathering more of them to be able to provide that. And for the infrastructure and the outreach to the investment community, there's Manoj Goel. Okay. Sudhir is from IIT Kharagpur, Manoj is from IIT Roorkee. And I want to thank our sponsors, HP, for giving us this beautiful hall and the space out here. So it's great to be hosting this event out here. Thank you very much. We also have Battery Ventures and Inventors Law, who are also co-sponsors for this event. Now, with that, I'd like to hand over to Sudhir Kadam.
Thank you, Manishi. I think we'll first like to start with our sponsors. Our first sponsors, HPE Pathfinders. They have a short presentation, and I would like to invite Paul who's going to do the presentation, Vishal Lal, to do the presentation.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming here. We appreciate your coming out on an afternoon here. Thanks to all our sponsors, as well as all the entrepreneurs. We are excited to host the very first event at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And of course, there is a selfish reason to see that. We wanted to see what innovations are out in the marketplace from this great group of folks. So what I wanted to do was just give us all a quick overview of what we do at Hewlett Packard to curate the Valley, what we do from an innovation perspective externally, and how do we interact with the venture community. So we have this program called Pathfinder. We started a few years ago. I'll just spend 5 minutes on that, and then we can continue. Net of it is, we started this program for three basic reasons. The first was to get insights from the innovation that is happening around us, not just internally, but also externally. Secondly was to actually make investments in some of these companies and then build solutions around them with our products. So that's what we do at a high level. And we started this in 2016, this program, so it's pretty young and pretty early for us. We budgeted about $100 million from our balance sheet that we invest every year. So significant dollars that we have committed to investments. We made close to 20, about 19 investments specifically over the last 2.5 years or so. So we've been pretty active. And some of these companies are starting to grow. We have one unicorn in our portfolio, two that are pretty close to that. And these were companies that have started relatively young. Over time, we've integrated them into our products. We are taking them to as solutions to our customers. They attend our industry events. They get introduced to our sales team. So there's a lot of there's a lot of cross-pollination of ideas as well as revenue opportunities that come together. And then, specifically, we do actually look at revenue generation from them as we go forward. Like I said, in 2 years, it's relatively young, but we've been able to generate about $10 million of revenues from these. The software companies have been able to generate $10 million, and on top of that, when we integrate our products, it's a multiple of that. So net-net, a relatively successful program, even as we think about just traction with our customers. The question you may ask is, so what type of companies do we typically work with? And there are really two filters, right? One is they need to be aligned to our strategy, broadly speaking, and we do invest in adjacent areas. And then the second is mostly we invest in companies that have a product, because then we can build solutions around them. There are instances in which we have actually gone further down towards Series A, in certain cases even to seed. In some cases, it's been because there were engineers or entrepreneurs from HPE who wanted to spin out, and we supported them. So that's kind of how we typically work with companies. They are mostly, the way we look at it, is our technical folks do a scan of the category. They look at category leaders, and typically those are the ones we go back and fund and work with. This pretty much, based on customer priorities as well, what our sales folks are hearing from customers, where they think there is potential in the marketplace. So it's not just technology-based, but it's, I think, to the comment that we had earlier, it's based on customer priorities and what customers want to do. We work with some of you up here in the front rows, and we work with I would say that most of the larger VC funds in the Valley. And then net of it is we are looking always to create differentiated solutions for our customers, which is really the lens we look at. This is just an overview of the portfolio to date, and they are in four broad buckets. It's around the intelligent edge as we think about it, including insights and analytics. There is a set of companies that are in the automation, orchestration, and management domains. Of course, software-defined infrastructure, which is closer to our core at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and then cybersecurity is the fourth area that we invest in. So that's kind of at a high level an overview of what we are doing typically with startups and how we interact with the community. But I just wanted to give you all a feel of it as you build out your companies. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to work with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so before we get into the program, I want to give you a brief overview of how we have prepared this 12 startups and how we have brought them to the pitch level today. IIT Startups initiative is obviously to fuel and foster entrepreneurship in the IIT community. Our current focus is largely on tech products, okay, but eventually we will try to expand beyond tech products also. These are the unicorns that Monishi was mentioning. Some of you know the names here, and you also know the money that they have made by turning into unicorns. So how can we help IIT start their entrepreneurial journey? What we found was there is a line of fear that an entrepreneur needs to cross. And what we do is we enable that crossing of that line. We help them take that leap of faith and embark on that entrepreneurial journey. So we mentor and groom the talent, we give them business perspective, and we support their journey. Some of them make it through the journey, some of them don't, some of them want to come back later. Okay. Philosophically, we are very different from commercial accelerators. We are a free service for all IIT community. We leverage the IIT network, we leverage IIT research parks. In fact, the first startup that you're going to see today works very closely with IIT Research Park in Madras. So we help them make their ideas fundable, and we help them to be successful. So this is the three-step process that we follow. We have enablement of the startups. We are right now in the accelerate mode. We are taking early stage startups, and some of them are slightly later than early stage, they are into post-seed stage. But our intention is to go and start doing scale-ups also. We connect startups to investors and corporates through pitches and deal flows. So we organize separate deal flows with the VCs, particularly for startups of their interest, and also with corporate organizations that they can benefit from. And we support networking. So we have a big talent of community that Manishi mentioned, 11,000 people. Okay, these are very technically very strong, and these are entrepreneurial talent right there. And if our startups can get connected to them, they can benefit from that community. So that's where we have these events and hangouts so that people can mix and mingle and find out good team players for them. Philosophically, we are very different from the commercial startups because we don't have entry screening. Okay, we take every startup that comes in. Okay, we look for some basic things while onboarding the startup. One is, do they have a company that is formed? Okay, has the founder put his sweat in the company? Okay, is the founder doing that company full time? It's not a pastime activity. Okay, so those are the basic things. The founder is coachable and so on, and we take them. We don't do any entry screening at that stage. As we proceed through the startups, through the acceleration process, we start filtering them through various evaluations. We have various objective evaluations to help startups understand where they lack and what they need to do. But the whole concept is to counsel them to retry. Okay, if we know that the startup cannot make it, we just don't cut the startup off. We tell them that this is what they need to prepare and come back with, and then we will entertain them again. But otherwise, the acceleration canvas is very similar to what most of the accelerators will do, so it's nowhere different there. Our focus largely is on mentoring, and we believe in one-on-one mentoring, and that's where the mentors get assigned to the startup, because every startup is different. Okay, so we do not want to put them through a factory situation. Okay, so this is not a mass production of startups. Each startup needs individualized mentoring. Okay, and that's our major focus. So the mentors are sounding boards, and they provide them proper guidance. But at the same time, we make sure that the mentors retain the vision of the entrepreneur, okay, and help them build that vision, okay, and do not push their vision on the startup. Our cohort 2 ran from June to September. We got extended by a month because of the holiday season, but you look at the spread that we have in terms of the kind of startups that are there. This is the funnel that we have. 22 applied, 4 other startups are invited, which have progressed or evolved startups. We found 17 to be eligible in the sense that they really had a company, they were from Bay Area, and there are some of those criteria that we were trying to look for. Okay, we pushed out few of them. We do not say we dropped the startup. We say we pushed them out because they can come back to us again. And 12 are pitch ready right now. So they went through the standard process of startup basics, one-on-one mentoring, interactive workshops. But if you look at the combination, what we have today, and what we're going to present today, 1/3 of these are post-seed or traction growth stage startups. Okay, so some of them have raised significant amount of money, some of them have significant amount of revenue, and so on. Some are post-MVP, they are into early funding, and they are ready, launch ready. Okay, so these startups are launch ready, they have everything, and they are looking for money to go to the launch process. And finally, the 1/3 are still in the MVP testing stage, but they are brilliant ideas. Cohort 2 starts now, right after this demo day. Next week or week after, we will launch cohort 2. We have 16 startups already. 4 of them are in device areas of IoT, robotics, and so on. So they are hardware related. More than 50% of these startups are using AI ML as an enabling technology. Okay, we will invite 4 more startups from the 200 other startups that we have who are in need of the mentoring. The road ahead, okay. So this is what we started with today, but this is not where we want to stop. Okay, so we want to go to level 2 startups. In January, we will be launching level 2 startups. Okay, looking at this community that we have connections with large corporate organizations. Okay, we can connect people. We can help them reach the right decision makers in large organizations. And how do we help them? So if you see the classical problem that the startup has is crossing the chasm, right? And you have this early adoption, but how do you scale it? How do you go to the next level? And that's where we are going to pick those kind of startups, put them through the growth engine expansion. We show them how to scale the operations, get the right bottom lines and so on, help them with business planning and governance and so on. At the same time, we want to encourage incubation. Okay, what we want to do is people who have ideas, brilliant ideas, we want to help them. Okay, so we are going to do ideation mixers, we are going to do corporate pitches. The corporate organizations will come and pitch to startups, and this is what we are looking for. This is the white space, okay, in our offering. And if we can build solutions there, and this is what we are interested in. Okay, and finally, investor pitches. So what we are going to do is we are going to have, like HP did today, we are going to have investors pitch saying that this is what we are looking for. Okay, this is our portfolio. These are the companies that will allow you to work with, but this is what we need. Okay, that's what we are trying to do. There are various ways all of you can get involved with IIT Startups. For corporates and VCs, we are looking for co-working space where we can do hangouts. We are encouraging corporates to support us with innovation pilots, market access, investments, benefit program like AWS is offering, Amazon is offering a benefit program. I think Chandra is right here. They are offering us cloud services there. Similarly, HubSpot and so on are willing to offer benefit programs for us. And of course, sponsorship like event sponsorship or even a cohort sponsorship will be possible. This is the core team behind today's success that we have with cohort number 1. And most important, I would like to emphasize, I cannot name all of them, but there's 50 mentors, they are more important than the entire core team, because they are the ones who have individually gone and helped the startups, spend their weekends, spend their valuable time to help them. And these are, some of them are working entrepreneurs, have their own startups, some of them have done serial startups, are in a VC position, and they are offering their time to help them. Finally, to the housekeeping, each pitch is going to be 12 minutes, 4 minutes. There are 12 pitches in total. There will be no Q&A after any pitch. Okay, what we are going to do is, Q&As will be done at the demo tables, which are in the other room. So you can have the Q&As with the wine and dinner. Okay. Surveys, you are allowed to take surveys. So if you want to provide feedback to the startup, you can take the surveys. There is a QR code on the leaflet flyer that was given to you. So you can click on that and start using that, or you can enter that code written over there, URL, bit.ly/IIT Startup, and you will be taken into the survey. So let's the show begin. Okay, turn off your cell phones because these people have exactly 4 minutes to finish. They will be stopped on the dot, and we don't want them to get distracted during that pitch. So the first startup is a breakthrough technology in antibiotic susceptibility testing, and it is presented by Vidya Kopka and Karan Sayal, and this is the startup that is working closely with IIT Madras Research Park.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. I am Vidya Kopaka. This is my co-founder Karan Sayal. We are CAST and here to fight antimicrobial resistance. It's a growing epidemic that is said to claim as many as 10 million lives in the next few years, more than any other leading cause of death, including cancer. How did we get here? The problem is this. For every 100 patients that walk into a clinic with an infection, 15 come out with a wrongly prescribed antibiotic. Why is this? Because of the delay in diagnosing resistant infections. The state of art today is slow. It takes 3 days from sample to result. It's expensive, takes trained technicians to perform these assays and interpret the results. It's typically off-site. Our solution at CAST is based on an imaging and tracking technology that can deliver results from 3 days to 2 hours. How are we able to do this? But our target market here depends on two sectors. One, centralized diagnostic labs. This is where a bunch of these tests happen on a daily process. Multiple technicians work on these tests, but will benefit from having a product that will get to results much earlier. Second are hospitals that are plagued by acquired infections, where hospitals are forced to pay thousands to their patients in treating them. Having a right diagnostic that's able to identify these patients earlier will help them save millions. The benefits we offer come from the fact that we are a culture-free methodology that makes our product 20 times faster. Also, being 80% cheaper, we'll find our product easily adaptable by both hospitals and labs. This is where we'll save costs by one, not needing trained technicians dedicated to expensive instruments, and second, by helping hospitals identify critically ill patients and treat them and get early intervention and save thousands of dollars and not paying for HAI-induced infections. Of course, we do have competitors in this space.
All right, so our competitors include traditional companies which do AST tests in 3 days with instruments which cost 100,000 rupees. Our most recent competitors are companies like Accelerate and GeneWeave, which gives AST results in about 8 hours and also have expensive instruments. Our competitors also include molecular diagnostic companies, which are focused on detecting the resistant genes versus a cell-based approach. Our differentiation from them is that we cover a larger spectrum of resistant bacteria, as well as offer clinical endpoints which is important to track evolving resistance. What we are building is a platform technology aimed at multiple industries ranging from digital pathology, AST, and clinical trial application. Our focus for now is the $6 billion AST market growing at about 20%. Our current target market is the urine samples, which is about 1.1 billion in 2 key geographies. Our foot in the door strategy involves optimizing the tests which are done at point of care today, specifically the microscopic urinalysis and gram staining. The intent is to help our customers today to sell them AST tomorrow. Going forward, we intend to sell as an RUO device for the clinical and pharma setting in the next 18 months, followed by commercialization, followed by regulatory approval and commercialization. These projections are based on setting up, selling as an RUO device for the clinical setting and integrating in one clinical trial with the pharma company. Our comparables are companies who have exited in the recent past by selling to bigger medtech companies. The ask today is about 700K in safe and convertible notes. In the recent past, we have also won awards such as the Discovery Award by Longitude Prize, awarded to about 4 teams every year solving for this epidemic. We also were recently funded by the Gates Foundation to build this product for the developing world, such as India. Currently, our team is based out of both Bay Area and Chennai. In Bay Area, Vidya and me co-founded this. We're both IIT graduates, PhDs from States. I'm essentially the business person, she is the tech person. In India, we're supported by a team of 5 to help build the product. Yeah, I think the eventual goal of what we're trying to do is to win the evolutionary war between resistant genes and microbial width and human width. Thank you.
So next up is Garbal Cloud Data Privacy as a Solution, presented by Akhilesh Verma.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? Thanks for IIT Startups for giving us this opportunity. Let me introduce you to the Garbal Cloud team. Vijay Thore, he's my founder. He's a PhD from UC Irvine and is a graduate from IIT Bombay. I have 18 plus years of experience in enterprise technical selling. So the problem, enterprises do not want to move sensitive data to the public cloud due to security and privacy concerns. Just to give you a sense, 70% of such data is unstructured data, such as files, documents, images, and spreadsheets. Just to give you a magnitude of the problem, 70% of unstructured data could be sensitive or actually vulnerable to exposure and leakage. The total market opportunity for unstructured data protection in the cloud is 42 billion by 2023. Traditional security solutions, such as CASB and DLP solutions, who are data protection, actually break the application workflow and lead you to data loss and prevention. And also, the big issue is your overall application gets swayed away on how it's used. Garbal Cloud solution. It is a web-based, agentless, SaaS-based application built on the public cloud. The application allows user-controlled encryption for sharing and storing data in the public cloud. Administrators can actually draw analytics and they can create and define overall granular policies. All the stakeholders, the admin, the end users, and the platform itself have the shared responsibility for actually making the protection of the unstructured data in the cloud. We enable all of this with our patented technology. a quick snapshot of the application, a couple of the key highlights. We do full text search on encrypted data and robust key management, which allows users to share files which are encrypted with other users without having to share the credentials with them. We are currently supported on the Google Drive and Dropbox. Other integrations are going to come in the future. In addition, we actually enable, Garbled Cloud enables compliance of GDPR in the cloud, because GDPR is all about privacy, and we enable that with the Garbled Cloud application. Let me walk you through a couple of use cases, specific use cases around secured intercompany sharing. A quick example, for instance, corporate counsel trying to share financial and time-sensitive documents and files with other C-suite executives and outsourced legal service companies can be helped by Garbled Cloud for secure sharing as a collaboration platform. Other use cases could also be in the high-tech vertical, where engineering teams actually share docs and codes across the company and within their organization, leading them to use this as a secure collaboration platform. How do we monetize it? We follow a typical SaaS subscription model, which is basically, we have an enterprise tier, which is $6 per user per month. We are targeting CIOs, CISOs, corporate counsels in the verticals such as financial, legal, and high-tech. Also, we're targeting a revenue target of around 50 million, which is based on 70,000 users in year one, and in year two or in year three, we should be able to get to over 10 times that number. At accomplishments, we have 2 patents. We are a Google Cloud technology partner. We are inducted in the Google SaaS initiative. We are the only encryption provider application in the GCP marketplace. Our ask is $2 million in funds, and basically to grow our team and customer acquisition. Thank you.
Next up, very interesting startup. This is technology for art. Okay, and no amount of presentation that he does over here will do justice to what he's trying to do. But there is a demo right after this during the networking that you must go and see what he has to offer. So this is technology for art. Rahul Ranjan.
Thanks, Sudhir. Thanks, Chris. Hi, this is Rahul. I'm founder of Palacio Incorporated. The mission of Palacio Incorporated is to come up with smart and decorative products for home and enterprises. Our first product is Canvia. What is the problem we are trying to solve? So those of you who have ever tried to decorate your home or office with artwork, I think it's an intimidating process. First you have to find the art piece over there, and then it can be expensive. After you put it up there with framing and everything, you don't like after some time, or maybe it becomes boring. It's not inspiring anymore. So solving these problems was the key inspiration for us to come up with Canvia. What Canvia does? Yeah. So there are 3 strong value propositions for Canvia. First, it looks real. Second, it is interactive in nature. And then third, it has inbuilt curated content that we curate and through our partnership with museums, art galleries, and current and contemporary artists. How do we make it real? So we have been working on a technology called ArtSense, and the idea is to simulate the behavior of reflecting artworks on a light-emitting monitor. Come and see our demo. It's a little complicated, so it's better to see it, and then we can explain it more. Now, who is our target audience, actually? So broadly, the market is defined in two different ways. One is the people who love art. Of course, they love different kind of art pieces, and mostly it's US, Western Europe, UK. 40% market of $60 billion is primarily in the US and 20% in the UK. Similarly, the other segment is smart art segment, smart gadget segment. That's expanding every other day. You may have seen the smart speaker sales in last quarter, actually. The other way to look at the market is the home and office. So home is pretty big from a market sizing perspective, but it has less recurring revenue from subscription side, whereas the office or enterprise market From volume perspective, is low, but then very high subscription fee. From a competitive analysis perspective, how are we different? So the concept of putting art on screen has been tried earlier. How are we different? The first and foremost thing, we bring a very real artwork on a monitor screen. And number two, problem that this market has faced, aspect ratio. So artworks come from different kind of aspect ratio, and we have solved that issue. The number three problem that we have solved in this market is to basically come up with a scalable model to work with contemporary and current artists. And those three are very different aspects to steer the market, expand the overall market size of this segment. Current traction. So we recently ran crowdfunding actually for this product. We have about 200K sales or pre-orders. 40% subscribed for the content. We have it covered by world's leading publications such as House and Interior Design, Digital Trends and Technology, and New Atlas, and there are many of them. We have some of the current and contemporary leading artists like Bonita Hamlet, John Laws on our platform, and it's ever growing actually. Our team is a blend of technology side, which includes IoT, computer vision, image processing, and creativity folks, from a content and art perspective, and top companies and top schools all combined. So a team to deliver actually the product in the long term and short term. From a focus perspective, we have been focusing on consumer side, so it'll be perfect the product and improve the market model. Long term, we are going to move in the B2B and portal creation or the artist portal side. From a timeline perspective, I think currently we are doing the mass manufacturing, and we are going to launch in January 19. Thank you. Come and see the demo, and we can answer all your questions. Thanks.
Next up is Indus Intel. This is Industry 4.0 solution for industrial IoT.
Hi, my name is Sachin, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Indus Intel. We created a scalable performance analysis solution for industrial IoT space that helps factory managers to improve floor efficiencies and optimize the costs. In manufacturing, downtime is a critical factor that impacts delivery. 82% of manufacturing facilities experience at least 8 hours of downtime, resulting in an average $2 million loss and up to 24% reduction in customer satisfaction. Every floor manager wants to maximize the asset utilization. Using effective system, factories can improve their efficiencies by 10 to 30%. And also, enhancing traceability and finding quality issues just in time help reduce the sizes of product recalls. Today, there are many IT solutions that offer disjoint components. These assemble yourself and interpret as you like solutions are not working for the customers. Customers are looking for reliable, turnkey IoT systems that drive business outcomes. Factories are complex environments with multiple lines, various types of machines, and multiple vendors. Not every machine is connected or provide data. Yet, factory managers want comprehensive coverage of all the critical assets to drive the goals such as increase efficiency, grow capacity, and reduce cost. Our solution, Machine Scope, is an industrial IoT platform for monitoring performance and analysis. Machine Scope converges data from OT and IT and builds digital twins of industrial assets. It is easy to deploy, customize, and integrate with. Our differentiation is the solution that digitizes any machine. This patent-pending solution listens to the electricity flow, temperature, and vibration patterns and learns those patterns to create fingerprints of machine actions. Once the training is complete on the fingerprints, then the algorithm goes and continuously monitor KPIs and find any anomalies. Finding anomalies just in time helps in focus quality checks and also improves the traceability of a low quality batch to a particular machine and the reason. We are focusing on manufacturing because it's a large market that can get significant benefit from effective IoT systems. The relevant market will be $1.8 billion in 2020, and we can immediately target $200 million market in USA. Our competition includes vehicle systems that support their own machines, point solutions that support fixed setup use cases and large corporate platforms. MachineScope offers flexible solution at reasonable price with the next generation technology to digitize any machine in a non-intrusive manner. We work with our customers closely. In our recent 3 POCs in 24/7 production environment, MachineScope identified very key insights for the customers in 1 week of deployment. The insights include tool cost optimization as well as the anomalies in the production sizes in various shifts. 3 of us work together at Cisco for 10 plus years. We all love working in industrial IoT space, and we have committed our full time for this venture. To productize the solution and to ramp up the operations, we are looking for $1.2 million investment from investors who can also help us with the strategic partnerships. Thank you.
So we have the website there for surveys, and I hope if anybody has difficulty getting to that website, will let me know. And just like a TV program, we're going to have a sponsor message. Our sponsor this time is Battery Ventures, Dharmesh.
You can tell I'm not a startup CEO. The VC uniform with the Patagonia jacket, so you can tell. But thanks again for having me here. We've been fortunate to work with many IIT alumni from AppDynamics and Nutanix, Fungible, many others, so it was a no-brainer for me to obviously support this event. Very quickly, Battery, I don't know how many of you know it, but not. It's a almost 40-year-old firm. We manage about $7 billion. Quickly. 5 offices worldwide, stage agnostic, but domain centric. So some funds say we want to do every Series A company, others say we want to do all value-based companies. Our strategy very much is go deep in some domains that we understand. So we spend 95% of our time looking at B2B software, half in kind of the IT software, cloud, data, cybersecurity, where I spend most of my time. The other half in application software. And within that, we'll go seed or we'll go pre-IPO. And we have offices in Europe, US, and Israel. 9 partners looking for opportunities worldwide. Monishi asked me just to spend a couple minutes on kind of what do we look for, because we have the benefit of going from seed stage to early stage to growth stage. I thought I'll tell you some examples of companies and what we typically look for. So the seed stage, obviously we're looking for large market opportunity. No CEO comes and tells us, hey, the opportunity is not that large. But for example, like Datadog, when we invested at the seed stage, there's a very fundamental understanding that developers and operations were going to merge together and do more DevOps. And that was a $200 billion market that was happening with the advent of public cloud. And so it's a large market opportunity. We're looking for a team with relevant domain expertise. So in the case of Expel, so FireEye, a CTO of FireEye doing another security company, that helps. And more importantly, kind of a clear vision for what is your minimum viable product. If you're going to raise $2 million and pay engineers obscene salaries in the valley, what exactly are you trying to achieve with that first $2 million? What is your vision of the MVP? And will that be enough to get you to Series A? That's kind of what's important at that stage. And the way we help is we have a team in-house that helps you with connections to engineers from large companies and other startups, as well as kind of early adopter customers. Over time, what's happened is companies like Capital One, Nike, Kaiser, they kind of have cloud platforms groups. And it's mutually beneficial where they want to have access to our early stage companies and we want to get their feedback. And so I think that's kind of how we help. At the early stage, be it Series A, Series B, what we're really looking for above and beyond the MVP is, do you have some early product market fit? Do you have a handful of customers that are spending $10,000, $20,000, $50,000? It doesn't really matter. But are these customers buying the exact same product? Do you have a good definition of the buyer persona? And do you have a core go-to-market team in place? So for example, in the case of Cohesity, early on, we had a pretty good sense that secondary storage was going to go to hybrid cloud. The buyer was very well-defined storage admin who wanted to have a multi-cloud story. In the case of Influx Data, it's an open source time series database. They had about 80,000 open source users using their time series data, and about 20 customers that were buying it exactly for the same reason. So the revenue itself doesn't matter, but what is the driver for the revenue? Are there 5, 10 customers buying exactly for the same reason? And then finally, at the growth stage, at that point, what really, really matters is how big is the addressable market. When we invested in App Dynamics, there was a fundamental realization that performance management was kind of a top 3 priority for enterprises moving to the cloud. And so our view of the addressable market changed quite a bit. We said, look, we always thought APM, performance management was maybe a few $100 million market. But when you index that to Amazon and Google and Azure, that becomes a multi-billion-dollar market. And at that point, we can see a standalone company. Same is true for Nutanix, for Databricks, and others. So because we've been through this journey back and forth between seed, early, and growth, we have roughly 200 companies that we've invested in the last decade, about 110 that are active. We've got some pretty good know-how in terms of how to guide a company from the time they have an MVP to an IPO. And here's a quick sample of some of the companies in our portfolio. I'm at Dharmesh at Battery. If you have any questions, let me know. But thanks for having me.
Seamless multi-channel customer touchpoint solution is a hard nut to crack, and Cupid has a solution to crack that. Venki Krishnaswamy.
Thank you, Sudhir. So yeah, we Cupid, and we've solved one of the most pervasive problems in the customer engagement industry, and that is fragmented and frustrating experiences across channels. Right? Enterprises spend over $500 billion on customer service, but they don't have a vendor today who can deliver a seamless experience. It's an unsolved problem. Why? The voice vendors don't get digital. The digital vendors pretend voice doesn't matter, and the chatbot guys pretend humans don't matter, right? And you're left to pick up the pieces. We are the only company that blends digital automation and live human service across voice and digital in one elegant platform, in one seamless experience. And we're driven by the customer's view, the customer experience, and we optimize it through AI. To show you how it works. So there are 3 elements to our solution. The Cupid experience button. This represents the customer's entry point to service. Think, don't call us, Cupid us. This connects to a complex of live and virtual assistants, skilled virtual assistants, skilled live agents, collaborating to provide service. The real magic happens at the orchestration layer, where we orchestrate the journeys and create seamless experiences. No more call center queues, first in, first out, no more waiting on hold with the Cupid solution. How does this AI work? The Cupid experience button captures customer context and identity across all interactions. We capture all conversations going through our platform and store them over the long haul. We also enable transactions to go through our platform. And all of this data is highly curated at the source. So not only do we enable people to talk, we enable them to do on our platform. And because of that curation, we have a data platform that nobody else has in the industry, full visibility into the customer journey, right? We can then apply machine learning to it, and the magic is real-time personalization, real-time journey optimization, the best customer journeys a customer can have. There's a very deep IP here. We have 3 patents pending, and we are on track to file another 10 in the next 1 year. We are already delivering significant benefits, like 30% reduction in call hold time, 85% conversion of visitors to transactors, and 50% reduction in chat turns to close a sale. We are probably the most unique team in the industry that can actually tackle this problem. We come from a long background here, and we are serial innovators. Innovation is in our genes. Where are we now as a company? We're about 2 years into product development. MVP has been done now for several months, and we're ready to come out of stealth. Our goal is to end the year with about 5 to 10 customers live and delighted. We're already live in 3. Our traction today, as I said, 3 customers live. We will almost definitely sign at least 3 global brands within the next 6 months. We've signed a global reseller agreement with the #1 contact center vendor, global tech partnerships with a very large solution vendor, and several partner distribution agreements, and over 400 leads in the pipeline just from two months of running a campaign. Right? We expect, we've already closed about 250K this year. We expect to close to 2 million next year, 10 million the year after that. And we're looking for 6 to 8 million in Series A to invest in tech, marketing, and to scale. Thank you.
Next up is Contique. He'll show you how to shorten the time to build custom sales proposal. This is Rahul Kapoor.
Yeah, so I'm Rahul, co-founder of Contique, and 2 years ago I was in London representing VMware's cloud business, trying to close a deal with British Telecom along with my VMware salesperson. And everything was going well till the CIO asked us a question, hey, you sent me a presentation, but I wanted a reference architecture in my vertical. Could you send that to us? The room went silent, and then one person from British Telecom piped up and said, hey, by the way, can you also send me organizational structure of how to implement that reference architecture? And that was the death knell, because neither I, representing marketing, nor the salesperson had that. Result, the deal got cancelled across the quarter and got postponed. Why did that happen? That is the genesis of Contique. It happened because of this chasm. And the chasm is really the enterprise salesperson is looking for content to tailor the presentation and spending a lot of time on it, as much as 30% of the time. Productivity is a problem. In that case, they couldn't find it. Secondly, if they're sending something tailored or not, they do not have any customer engagement insights. So in this case, he did not know. The presentation got forwarded to someone who asked the second question. They don't have any other insight. Is it being even opened, the presentation they're sending? Whereas on the marketing side, which is what I was representing, we had spent enormous millions of dollars trying to give the right content to sales for hybrid cloud. But somehow it was not getting through. And worse still, we are not getting the content effectiveness, insights of what was working, what was not working, how was the sales presenting our content for an opportunity, how they were tailoring it, which customers were seeing it, none of that was available. And that is the chasm Contique is trying to solve by a very simple paradigm. Salesperson can essentially, within their PowerPoint, you can see on the left, right-hand side, find the presentation by opportunity, by keyword, by pretty much any attribute they care, given to them, #1 from marketing. So you can see in the top are the marketing results, but then also from their peers. And you can see the platform has dynamic scoring of every single piece of content happening as the usage is going on, so that salesperson is finding what's working in the field and not working. Secondly, the salesperson can, from the platform itself, send the tailored presentation to the customer and get insights on the view, swipe dwell times, how much time it is used, which customer is giving what comments, all that the salesperson is getting. Marketing person, again from PowerPoint, without leaving the native environment, are able to sponsor the content, tag them the control piece, and get the insights of exactly how deck and slide is being used in which opportunity for which customer where. In terms of traction, we are right now, we are a post-series, pre-series A company, post-seed. We are basically driving deployment in 2 main customers, one of which is a small company, virtualization leader, which you might know, another VoIP leader, so that's our, and then we have pilots lined up next month to start with other verticals, which is basically with companies like Informatica and Deloitte, and we have a deep pipeline of customers after that, all B2B. And the way we look at the market is the following. Essentially, we are focusing on enterprise companies which have big sales force and a lot of growing sales content and volume. And really the verticals which matter to us are the following. And in each of those, we either have a paid pilot or we have an anchor customer which we are deploying right now. Competitive landscape, how we differentiate. There are 2 kinds of competitors we have. On the A side are basically the push platforms where marketing is essentially doing a one-way push to the salespeople. They're not getting anything back. On the B side are essentially data capture platforms which are capturing the last mile customer data but not sending it back to marketing. Contique is the only platform which is doing both. As you can see from within PowerPoint, you can collect the data and bring back the marketing for which it is gold. Our team is essentially led by Mark Shablik, who is a serial entrepreneur. He sold his company to VMware, successful exit. Myself, 15 plus experience in product, around 15 plus experience in domain. And we are essentially, like I said, post Series A. What we're looking for at this point of time is some strategic investors working with us to accelerate the march to Series A in terms of getting the million ARR and deployment.
Rahul, stop. Your 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's what. Thank you. That's the last answer.
If you have enterprise applications in the cloud, Madhuri Yerchuri from Eltol will show you how to slash your cost by 60%.
Hello everybody, my name is Madhuri Yerchuri. I'm the founder of Elotal, where we help cut your enterprise cloud bill by up to 80%. As enterprises are increasing public cloud adoption, they're moving their workloads from on-prem to public cloud. They are faced with sticker shock associated with the humongously large public cloud bill. This is caused because enterprises are consuming public cloud infrastructure as if they own it, not as if they're renting it by the hour. So you're provisioning for what you think you might use 9 months later instead of provisioning for what you're actually using. So this is a case study at GridSpace where they provision a compute cluster for one of their customers that they're paying over $500K per year, whereas they're actually consuming only $144K worth of the provisioned resources. There is humongous amount of unused capacity which is translating to spend that is going nowhere. At Elotal, we are bringing to market the first cloud-native serverless management controller for public cloud, where the management controller provisions right-sized, just-in-time, cost-effective compute when your app starts up. The compute is automatically terminated when the app terminates. So you're only paying for what you use. The platform is compatible with Kubernetes and Docker ecosystem, and there are absolutely no changes to the application that you need to make in order to run it on the platform. And it's built from ground up, enabled for cross-cloud ability. How is it different from existing solutions? Existing solutions in the market give you 2 out of the 4 value propositions of Elotal, which is eliminating manual capacity planning, automating your application lifecycle management, and proactively addressing cost management and breaking out from being vendor locked in onto a single public cloud provider. Elotal is priced as a percentage of your cloud bill with a support contract that's a percentage of your license contract. For go-to-market, we are looking at 3 channels. We are seeking out enterprises with at least $500,000 per year spent on public cloud. We are looking to partner with large enterprises who want to enable their customers migrate from on-prem to a hybrid cloud environment so that their public cloud bill is contained from the get-go. And we are also looking to talk to SaaS companies who predict an increase in their public cloud spend so that this cloud spend is contained from the get-go. Our 1.0 beta was out a month ago, and we have ongoing POCs with HubNow, GridSpace, ServiceNow, Symphony, and Commonwealth Bank, IG, and ShieldX. And GA is going to come out in a month, and we are looking to close GA and then close one of the POC customers, and then raise a venture round. Right now, we have raised 800K in Angel, and we are looking to raise 600K to help us reach to closing the first paying customer. And we are looking to raise a Series C round of $5 million in spring of 2019. Thank you so much. And the team is comprised of myself and 2 founding engineers who are Brendan Cox and Bill Mosh, who are my teammates from the past. Brendan and Bill Mosh have 18 years experience building infrastructure software in their previous companies. And we also are mentored by Govind Vashni and Manoj Goel from the IIT community, and our technical advisor is well known in the infrastructure management space from VMware. If you have any portfolio companies with at least $500,000 spend or more, we'd really appreciate an opportunity to demonstrate value so that we can help you cut your cloud bill. Thank you so much.
Application protection from unknown cyber threats. That's NanoSec, presented by Vishwas Mandaral, who's also the Vice Chair of Cloud Security Alliance in Silicon Valley.
Thank you, everybody, and good evening. My name is Vishwas. I'm the CEO of NanoSec, and NanoSec is a behavioral, network, visibility, and security solution that helps protect any application on any infrastructure at any scale from both known as well as unknown attacks. The rapid rise of public cloud has resulted in a change in application architecture and deployments. This has helped enterprises become more agile, but this has led to some fundamental problems for this infrastructure-based security tools. That's where NanoSec comes in. The three key challenges that we see are multi-cloud. There's been a huge growth of multi-cloud, and most current infrastructure tools are designed only for a single cloud, single infrastructure. With end-to-end encryption being on the rise, we see all infrastructure tools that look deeper into traffic are unable to be as precise. And to add to that, sophisticated hackers and continuously morphing malware are not able to be caught by the traditional network security tools because they are designed to identify known attacks and prevent them. That's where NanoSec comes in. NanoSec is an application-centered platform that helps solve all these problems. NanoSec takes a segmentation approach to security, which means we are understanding the behavior of each application, of each process of every application, and we are in a way inverting the model of security. That is, instead of identifying attacks and threats, we are actually looking at the behavior, characterizing the behavior, and then constraining the application behavior to its known past behavior. This helps us with providing agility. We will be able to deploy our applications at an ever fast rate. We've reduced times of deployment from months to hours. We've actually helped with visibility, which means we are able to provide multi-cloud visibility and anomaly detection. And to add to that, we are of course able to provide deep security irrespective of the count of attack. We are of course market ready. Like I said, we have a team consisting of members who've been at some of the most well-known security companies out there. We have integrations with the largest cloud vendors and the most widely used orchestration tools. We have revenues just this year of around $300,000, and we have POCs with some of the biggest SaaS vendors and some big financial companies and so on. Opportunity size, of course, we are into this space and the opportunity size is big. We think nearly all infrastructure-based tooling, whether it is monitoring, security, performance management, it's all going to be affected, and that's where NanoSec comes in. We think the opportunity is going to be really huge, and there are others who have come into the space. We don't think that we'll be the first one in the space, but what we do is we are more application-centric, while most other solutions are more infrastructure-centric. So that helps us be more future-safe as well as provide more secure solutions. Like I said, we already have a team of 10 engineers. We have 35 KMRR. We are looking to get to around $500,000 of sales this year and try to help get full-time sales and marketing. And our team is, of course, Bo Roberts is helping us with the marketing. He's been at Evident.io that got bought by Palo Alto Networks. Our engineering team is a team of very experienced engineers who've actually taken things from zero to revenues. And I, of course, am the Vice Chair of Cloud Security Alliance, have written technologies like IPsec and have been at HP before. So I've actually been in this space before. We are looking to raise $1.2 million to help secure enterprise applications on any infrastructure at any scale. Thank you.
We have a short message from our sponsor. He's going to talk about how to negotiate a term sheet.
Hi, my name is Anil Advani and I'm the founder and managing partner of Inventors Law. Kanwal is here in the audience, so I have to disclaim any relationship, affiliation with Inventors Capital. So please don't come looking for money from me. He's the guy. Although I think you can also get legal advice from him, so he's pretty experienced in that respect. When Monishi asked me to, whether we would be interested in sponsoring, it was a very easy yes. 3 of the companies, 10 companies presenting today are already our clients. And I'm very hopeful that by the end of the night, all 10 will do. So it'll be a good ROI. And we work with founders. So what we do, I've worked with big firms where I also represented the VC investors. But I saw a need for founders to also be adequately represented. And what we do is, again, technically, legally, we represent the companies, but we also counsel the founders as they negotiate their term sheet with investors. So any investors in the audience, feel free to close your ears. One of the things I realized, when we work with founders is, they get a term sheet. It's usually a 2, 3, 4-page term sheet. Or if an India investor, Dinesh Katiyar is here, so I'll pick on him as well. If it's an India investor, then it's usually a 30, 40-page term sheet. So when you get that piece of paper, you're looking at, what is the valuation? And one of the things I counsel founders is to make sure valuation is obviously important, but look at what's under the valuation, under the hood of how do you get to valuation, what is it in it, in terms of real numbers. And one of the key elements, and so firstly, how you get to valuation, I get asked that question, and I've given up presented some of the factors. And to think about simply, in terms of valuation, if there's a market for your product already, think about it similar in analogy to when you're selling a house. One thing you do is look at comps, right? How many homes were sold in that community and what was the price, similar to 4-bedroom, similar, and apply some of that model. Obviously, if it's a bigger opportunity, better team, patents, technology, potentially customers already, all of that drives the valuation up, right? But start from that as a baseline if you have that baseline. But one of the things to keep in mind as you get the valuation is also what goes into the valuation, right? So one of the things that investors slip in is requiring an option pool. What that means, let's say it's a 10% option pool. What that means, what investors are saying is that 10% will be dilutive on a pre-money basis. So investors are not taking dilution. And that's okay. It's okay and it's very standard. But it should be a thoughtful process. Firstly, founders should understand how that impacts their percentage ownership. They should realize that it's diluting them and not the investors. And there should be a thoughtful discussion with the investors on what the hiring plan is. For example, we've got a term sheet today for one of our clients, 4 founders. The management team, all the way from the top to the bottom, the senior management team is already set. So they may not need a 10% pool. And that's something to negotiate with the investors because that equity is coming back to the founders. So be careful about, as you look at the numbers, how that implicates. Don't just look at the valuation, but the percentage that you're allocating for an option pool will affect your valuation, your personal as a founder, what equity you get after the investment. I've only been given 2.5 minutes. I usually pause for questions, but I'll keep motoring through, which I think is unfair given 4 minutes for everybody else. I have to say that. Liquidation preference, again, this is, when founders buy shares, they buy common stock, and it's usually at a very low price. Investors come in and they're putting real money, real cash into the business. So it's also legally, lawyers 100 years ago, 40 years ago, whenever they started venture financing, and I work with some of the best ones at Cooley, one of the founders of really venture capitalism, they basically created this mechanism where founders can get common stock at a very low price. And very quickly, in a few weeks, months after, investors come in and you can justify the difference in the valuation of the same percentage ownership in the company because we've created these additional terms. One of the additional terms is liquidation preference. And it's not a scary term. I mean, investors putting in money are saying basically if the company shut down, if there's not enough to share, then we get our money out first. And that's okay. But again, like everything else, there are layers of that, right? If there's a participation or, there's a cap or there's unlimited fully participating preferred, that's where you walk away, right? So you have to understand, walk away or go back to the investor depending on sort of what your leverage is at that time. If you have multiple term sheets, I would say, especially at the early stage, if you have multiple term sheets and one investor is asking for fully participating, the other is asking for non-participating, given maybe a 25% variation valuation, I would still urge you to think about taking the second term sheet, not the first term sheet, because that's also not just you, that also affects what you as founders will get, because the liquidation preference is stacked on top of what your proceeds will be, but also as you grow and raise more capital, new investors coming in very likely would also require some similar terms. So you're really starting from a very weak position if you're starting at that term sheet. Voting rights are important. I mean, board, under Delaware law, most of your companies will be Delaware corporations. Under Delaware law, the board gets to decide key decisions, including hiring and firing of the executive officers. So you have to understand how you control the board. And again, under Delaware law, majority of shareholders also get to approve and elect the board. But that can be varied also by contract. And investors, when they put the term sheet, one of the terms is how does the board, or composition of the board. Again, very important to understand not just valuation and how you get to valuation, but also how the board is composed of, how that relates to decision in the future, and as founders, what you can do to protect yourself. And again, when I say protect, I'm not, for the investors here, I have to say, I'm not saying it's anything negative. Just understand sort of how, what you're signing up for, and given precedent, sort of how this may play out. Investors also have protective provisions. Again, nothing to worry about in most cases. This is basically a veto right. Many times the early investors don't have majority ownership, so you can make decisions without them. And this is investors' perspective, a way of controlling some of the key decisions, so that if you're selling the company or raising more capital, which dilutes the investors, they also have a veto right over that decision. So I've been asked, Sudhir, I know is a tough taskmaster, so I'm going to wrap up very quickly. But that's again something to keep in mind. If you have a long list of protective provisions that affect the operations, then that's something to discuss. If it's a very limited material terms, that's okay. And I'll flip through this. Drag along is important. If you see drag along, run, or at least structure it in a manner that protects you as founders as well. Your vote should also be part of the exit provision. Redemption and registration, you should not see them in the US term sheet. We still see them on India term sheets, and I'm always on the phone trying to explain to investors on why this doesn't make sense in most cases. And again, something to get good counsel and understand really what you're getting in for, what the pros and cons are, and then make a very informed decision. Thank you.
Patient adherence to specific care regimen by care providers is the biggest challenge. And Sarah Ram Melkut is going to solve that.
Thank you. Sedera Care is a service and a platform to create and deploy fully native, custom cross-platform patient engagement mobile apps in a matter of minutes. The immediate need for patient engagement is one of post-discharge. Readmissions occur as patients and caregivers don't really understand discharge instructions. They don't follow regimen. And there's poor communication about the patient's progress or lack of back to the physician. On the longer term, insurance companies are looking for technology aids that will help combat onset of diseases. By 2020, 157 million Americans will be diagnosed with chronic conditions. 81 million of them with multiple conditions. The market for patient engagement in the US is over $15 billion. They include preventive care, emergency care, and chronic care management. Now, there are a number of different products out there that are trying to meet this need, but they have some very significant gaps. Firstly, they're boilerplate apps. They need heavy customization. UI, content, and logic-based customizations are needed, and this requires a lot of effort and money. Now, this is a very significant problem, as there's considerable variation amongst physicians for regimen standardization. Now, each one of these custom apps needs to be rolled out to both the Android platform and the iPhone platform. That's a significant overhead. Lastly, there isn't good support for comorbidity. So Sedera Care addresses all of these gaps very, very efficiently. We create custom apps, apps that are customized to the practice and to the condition. Now, with a patent pending technology, we can create apps in a matter of minutes. Now, these apps will be exactly written to the specification of the practice. Now, these apps actually mimic an in-office visit, a conversation between a physician and a patient. Now, what this lets us do is actually offer customization as a service. Now, the resulting app can be deployed in a fully native manner to both the Android platform and the iPhone platform. What this means is that all of these apps will have complete access to all the device functionality and peripheral integration, like blood pressure, blood sugar, and anything else. Predictive analytics that proactively spots trends with summary and detailed reports, and full comorbidity support, where multiple apps can be deployed onto the same patient device and run seamlessly as a single app. Now, here are the use cases that we're looking at for Sedera Care. and each one of them will be an app developed on top of the platform. With me is Girish Narayan, who's a domain expert, who's a very respected cardiologist in the Bay Area. And I personally have more than 25 years of software development experience in startups and large companies like IBM, AT&T Bell Labs, and Oracle. Param, our architect, is ex-Zora, IBM, and we have a very illustrious advisory board which brings to the table many, many years of deep healthcare experience. We just got our version 1 release of the product out, and we are provisionally HIPAA compliant. We're looking for about $2 to $3 million in seed funding to execute on our pilot projects as well as enhance the product. We are looking to sell to systems of care, accountable care organizations, hospitals, surgery centers, and insurance companies. Introductions to these are welcome. And these institutions are going to use Sedera Care to actually provide coordinated quality care for their patients and manage the total cost of care. Thank you.
We have three very interesting startups to go. The next one is about questions. You got questions, get answers without going through documents. This is presented by Sanjeev Kumar of Quark AI. He is the holder of 49 patents.
Good evening. I'm Sanjeev from Quark AI. We provide answers quickly and accurately, unlike others. With the exponential growth of enterprise data, finding right information has become complex and time-consuming. Sales, support, HR, training professionals, research analysts, they have to go through too much information, spread out at too many places, in too many formats in a very short time. That can lead to inaccurate and delayed response. And the result, unhappy customers and lost sales. What these folks need is instant answers, not links to documents. Introducing Quark AI, a next generation deep NLP platform that provides answers to questions. Now, what are the other solutions out there? Well, you have search, which is time consuming. You have typical chatbots that are limited to common questions. Or you could ask colleagues, which is unpredictable. Now let me show you what we do. Al is a sales executive who likes to use Google for researching potential customers. Here, he wants to find out how much AT&T spends on R&D and in what areas. What he gets is links to documents that he must click, then read to find answers. It is time consuming. Megan is a smart sales executive who realizes the importance of quick and accurate research. Therefore, she uses Quark AI powered system to find her answers instantly. Our system also works with Slack and chat interfaces. Now, what is the secret sauce behind all this? We have developed unique deep NLP models for superior document interpretation, which takes it to the next level. It works for facts, paraphrases, and descriptions. In particular, for descriptions, we have developed technology which nobody else has. We have patent pending for it. It also enables us to train high volume of documents very rapidly. As for competition, on one hand, we have AI-powered support chatbots that are limited to common questions and logs. On the other hand, we have Googles of the world that do not work with custom enterprise solutions. We are part of the NVIDIA Inception program. We are working with Nutanix, who has given us the sales and support data for technology evaluation. We also in discussions with Intel and one of the largest ServiceNow system integrators. As for the core team, I have a PhD in artificial intelligence with a specialization in NLP, 10 patents and about a dozen publications. Federico is a senior developer with background in NLP and deep learning. Prosenjit is a serial entrepreneur. He is one of the founders of Informatica, and he's also a mentor at Alchemist. On the BizDev and sales side, we are being helped by Sujit, who is a senior BizDev guru and entrepreneur. A go-to-market direct and channel partners who are ServiceNow and Salesforce system integrators. The market opportunity focusing only on the sales and support verticals is about 20 billions. And here's what we're asking. We're looking to raise 500K to add more engineering muscle, to successfully deploy 3 paid customers, and get ready for institutional route. Please come to my booth for any questions. Thank you.
Capital market analysis for smaller hedge funds is what DataPy does with their second order insights. DataPy has already gone through Skydeck, the Berkeley Accelerator, and here it is being presented by Sriram Gopalan.
Good evening. I'm sure everybody here has invested in mutual funds. Do you know the average mutual funds who beat the S&P index? It's only 25 to 30%. But most of the funds require access to instant information in order to do performance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sriram, co-founder of DataPy. We are going to democratize access to insights to all fund managers, making a level playing field in order to get better returns. What's the problem? Today, there is too much of information, very less insight. The opportunities and risks are all lost. An average equity analyst spends about 60 to 80 hours before even going into deep dive into the modeling phase. With DataPy, we are going to reduce it to minutes. How will we do that? So let's take an example. Let's say the analyst wants to do earnings power value. He needs to know what's the maintenance capex, growth capex. These are all not readily available in any financial data. You have to go through the SEC filings, earnings, calls, transcripts. We call these as first order of information. With DataPy, we'll parse the structured and unstructured data, correlate with different inputs, compute the value, and provide out-of-box metrics. Our differentiation is what we call a second order of information. So let's say Amazon is going into a networking space. There will be hundreds of stocks that are going to get affected because of this. What we will do is correlate and present what is the stocks which will be important for you based on your personalized investment criteria. So these two illustrates our value proposition. Better returns through qualified alpha generations and reduced spend on interns, consultants, and back office operations. Why now? Or the timing is right because with MiFID II regulations, the research firms are going to decouple from the research and execution stuff. And we expect that a lot of firms will look for second order of information, recent new tools. And with technology growing in, a lot of companies are going to invest in AI, but there's nothing for large scale of funds that happen. If you look at the competitive landscape, there are all first order information providers, raw data providers. There are companies which are doing stuff in-house and some generic insights. But our differentiation is going to be on personalized insights, providing second order of information in minutes. Our go-to-market strategy is first to look at the hedge funds. We believe that even if we get 10% of the 12,000 hedge funds at $1,000 per user per month, we'll be able to get a potential of 100 billion in 5 to 6 years. You can expand to the other institutional investors, and the TAM is even bigger if you go to retail market. And this is only of US. If you go to international market, it's even bigger. Our go-to-market, like I mentioned, is 50 to 10 to 75 analysts. We'll have an enterprise deal of 500 to 1,000, depending upon the seats, and 50,000 subscription per team. Our team comprised of people with diverse background. Ali has founded the financial services background. Greg used to work at Facebook to build knowledge graph scalable products. I've got analytics and product experience. We have an MVP. It's getting good reviews from the customers right now. What we are asking is 1.5 million, 1.8 million seed, which will get us 1.5 million ARR with about 30 paying customers. Thank you.
And all good things should come to an end. We present our last startup. This is Uday Chaka presenting a home security virtual assistant, which is endorsed by the States.
Sorry about the technical difficulty. 7 million burglaries happen in the US every year, resulting in about $28 billion in insurance claims. I was also a victim. I looked for alarm systems. I found out 95% of the alarms sent to the police are actually false. I didn't want to spend $50 a month for false alarms. So I looked at the security cameras. The security cameras generate about 112 alerts in 5 minutes. Unlike, instead of false alarms, Sentry sends you accurate alerts only when it sees something suspicious. Sentry understands and recognizes your family and pets from others. Sentry also makes your home appear occupied by generating sounds of pets, people, and activity. And you may not always be available to receive and respond to security alerts. Sentry has built-in AI that generates appropriate warnings and asks suspicious persons to leave. Ask suspicious persons to leave. Sentry is one-step setup. All you need to do is to authorize Sentry to manage your alerts. There's no software to install and no apps to download. And it's compatible with almost all cameras. It works even in the dark, and you can't hide from Sentry. And here's a happy quote, from our customers. Home security is a $50 billion market, and the whole industry is working to embed AI in their solutions. And Sentry already does that. We're already working with insurance, with camera makers like Arlo, with security providers, and with the police. We recently received $100,000 from AWS. We raised $500,000 from angels, including police officers. So they trust us, right? So we're asking for $2 million to launch and scale. So if you have any questions, please come to our booth and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Let me call Manoj Goyal, my partner in crime, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you, Manishi. Each one of you had a choice this evening. You could have been watching the latest show on Netflix of your choice. You could be spending time with your family, but you choose to come here. So we appreciate that. Okay, we don't need. So I'm a mentor with IITSTARTUPS, and sometimes companies ask me, have you done a startup? I said, yes, 20 years ago, we had a tiny startup from incubation to exit in 9 months. Only my wife could be delivering kids in that time. And Kanwal was my support and mentor, Kanwal Rekhi here. I work for Kanwal at Novell and Exelon. So anyway, I'm between wine and cheese and this event, so I announced this closed. If you want to connect with any of the companies, here's a link. You can connect with those companies, or you can meet them out in the demo room. And thank you to HP Pathfinder team, without whom we wouldn't have attracted such a big crowd of VCs. They said, oh, Pageville Road, Sandal Road, yeah, we'll come. So thank you, Paul, Vishal, Morgan, rest of the Pathfinder team. Thank you, Battery Ventures, for supporting the wine. and Inventors Law for the cheese.